In this slideshow, we will cover bureaucracy in action. We will cover bureaucracy in action and who controls the bureaucracy. Bureaucrats reflect America demographically better than Congress. 30% of bureaucrats are minorities and 45% are women. Contrary to popular belief, studies show that bureaucrats perform their jobs as well as people doing the same work in the private sector. Bureaucrats perform many tasks. They ensure food, drugs, and consumer product safety, safety in the workplace, the delivery of mail. They provide retirement, Social Security, unemployment checks, and attend to the needs of veterans, and they pursue criminals. Bureaucratic culture is a persistent, patterned way of thinking about the central tasks and human relationships within the organization. Culture is to the organization what personality is to the individual. Bureaucrats understand that resources are scarce and they act in their own best interest. They have the desire for autonomy and they work for larger budgets and more subordinates to help them carry out tasks. Their goals can be achieved through politics. They need to convince elected officials to give them their budget requests and grant them autonomy in decision making. Savvy bureaucrats design and manage their programs in ways to enhance political support in Congress. They try to distribute the benefits of their programs to benefit locals and gain widespread support. Congress often pays little attention to what bureaucrats are doing, as administrative oversight is not a high priority. They often only pay attention when there is a crisis. There are generally two forms of congressional oversight: police patrols, also known as patrol oversight, and fire alarm oversight. With police patrols, Congress works hard to directly monitor whether agencies are implementing laws faithfully and efficiently. With fire alarm oversight, Congress designs procedures that allow interest groups and citizens to sound an alarm when something has gone wrong. Because of the size of bureaucracy, fire alarms are more common than police patrols. There are many methods for congressional control. Congress can have hearings and launch investigations, similar to what Secretary Clinton went through with the investigation into her emails. They can make agencies write mandatory reports. They can use a legislative veto, which allows Congress to veto by a majority vote an agency's policy proposals. Sometimes Congress forms committees which issue reports and instruct agencies on how Congress expects them to use their discretion. Limitation riders impose limitations on an agency concerning how they spend their money, the money that is appropriated to them. The Inspector General and the Government Accountability Office can also audit programs and agencies. The President sits atop the bureaucratic hierarchy and heads departments and the heads of departments and agencies are his or her direct subordinates. The President has enormous administrative responsibilities, which can be problematic because of the size of the federal bureaucracy. The President has to rely on and trust the people he or she appoints. When the President appoints the heads of departments and agencies, the Senate has to approve them. The politics of administration gives agency staff, members of Congress, and the organized interest groups powerful incentive to form mutually beneficial alliances to manage policy in their areas of specialization. narrowly focused sub-governments that control policy in their domains out of the sight uh, and or without oversight from full Congress, the president, and the public at large are called iron triangles. Issue networks are more loosely organized than iron triangles. Issue networks are highly variable and informal webs of relationships among representatives of various interests who are involved in a particular public policy. Labor unions with lobbyists would be part of a labor issue network. Agency capture is when an agency that oversees the activities of an industry are in fact controlled and influenced by the industry that they are supposed to regulate. Agency capture can sometimes be hard to recognize, but an example may be the Federal Aviation Administration and the airline industry. Some of the heads of the FAA are former employees of the airlines, which gives them experience in the industry and may help them regulate it. On the other hand, they may be influenced by former and possible future airline employers. If the airlines effectively control and influence the FAA, then that is agency capture. Bureaucracy is filled with layers of paperwork and procedures often referred to as red tape. Though red tape can be a big inconvenience, it does exist for a reason. The procedures and paperwork help principals control and monitor agents. It provides a paper trail and documentation that the agencies are doing their jobs correctly. The rules and procedures put in place ensure fair and equal treatment of citizens. For example, when doing something as simple as fencing in your backyard, you may need to fill out paperwork and get a permit from the city. This way, the city ensures that citizens are following the laws about fencing in the city limits. This, of course, is an example of local red tape and not a federal government example. In terms of the federal government, red tape often springs directly from Congress's desire to control administration. Getting rid of red tape can reduce the ability of Congress to monitor and influence administration. Increasing efficiency in the federal government in federal agencies is difficult. The red tape helps measure output for agencies which can't be measured based on what they produce because they don't produce anything. Measuring how well agencies do their job is difficult. Is it the goal of the IRS to maximize compliance with the tax code or to provide good customer service? These aren't the same. This concludes the presentation on bureaucracy in action.